This is Straight Talk with Enlightened Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and his sidekick Shanan Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Bolden County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fann, the Preacher Man.
Well, welcome today to Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Shanan. Shanan, what's your name here?
E. Jones.
E. Jones. Well, Shanan, you know, we got a great program today, as always, and thank you so much. You know, we got comments last week from the Reverend Joyce Dorsey, the preacher woman. She said, I don't get a chance to catch you guys when you're live like you do, but I do go back and look at the YouTubes that you've seen. So we sent out the YouTube channel. So check out the YouTube channel. Go out and subscribe to the YouTube channel. So when we come on, you'll be able to see Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and the middle-aged man. He corrected me. He's not a young man. He's middle-aged.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So how you doing today, Dorothy?
I'm great, Bishop. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing so good, man. I'm just saddened by all the deaths that we're having. You know, as pastors, it's a hurtful thing. Every week we're eulogizing somebody, one or two people. A lot of death, a lot of dying. Get right with Jesus. Get right with the Lord, because you know not when the day nor the hour when the Lord shall appear, because He's coming. He's not.
You know, the interesting thing about that is a lot of people live their lives as though life is certain and death is uncertain, when it's actually the reverse. Death is certain and the length of life is uncertain. So you're absolutely right. Get it together. Get things in order. Get your spiritual life house in order. Get your financial house in order. Take care of your family, because you never know when that moment will be.
Yes. And I'm hurt today, or sad today, by not because of the death of someone, but my dear friend, the Reverend Albert E. His wife Juanita is going back home to be with her family, and we understand that she's going to go and be with her family, her sisters and her nieces and nephews, but it hurts nevertheless when you have spent so much time with individuals and they leave. It hurts. And I got a text from her early this morning that said she'd be leaving Monday. So let's keep her in prayer, and that God continue to bless Juanita Love and all the work that she and her husband contribute to this city, to this state.
My God.
Over the 50-something years that they were here, made Atlanta their home. And they will be, both of them will be really missed, both Reverend Love, and we can't talk enough about Reverend Love and the work that he contributed to the state, not only to Atlanta, but to the state, to the nation. Was a great man, a great spirit. And y'all hear us talk about him all the time, because he was a wise man, and very much missed now by many, many, many of us in this community. Not just the faith community, but the community at large. Reverend Albert E. Love and his wife, Juanita Love. Y'all keep Juanita lifted up in prayer, and she'll always be in our heart.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Shanan, we're going to get ready now to the program today. We're going to be having Black History Facts coming from Brother James Broom. And then we'll have this discussion from the young lady who is the Chief of Staff for the Solicitor General's Office, Keith Gamage.
Sierra Bickerstaff.
Sierra Bickerstaff. Ms. Bickerstaff. And we're going to be hearing from her in that program they're having to try, as Mr. Gamage is always doing, trying to help the least, the less, the lost, and left out, trying to find ways to help, even in his office as a prosecutor. And we'll be talking about Haiti and what's going on over in Haiti. And he will hear from many congressional leaders as to their position on it. And then maybe you want to tell us what's your position on it. I know Shannon's got an opinion.
Absolutely. On that border, on the Texas border, the Haitian migrants on the border.
Oh man, yeah, man. Ooh, that thing is ugly. You know, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But it says something to me. You know, there's certain people of certain color, they can come in because of, and I'm talking about the Afghanistan. You know, people.
Afghans, yeah.
Yeah, we bring them in, no problem. But the Haitians and other people who are of dark skin, it seems like it's always a problem for black folks.
Always a problem.
Always. But we'll talk about that later. We'll be back after Black History Fact with Brother James Broom, and then we'll be back to talk about the Solicitor General program, and we'll be talking to you about what's going on at the Texas border between Mexico and the United States. Stay tuned. Don't you go nowhere. And don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube channel with yours to the Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Shanan E. Jones. I'm Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, right here on Straight Talk with Black History Facts with Brother James Brooms.
This is Dorothy Lee Bolden Thompson. Born October 13th, 1923, Dorothy was partially blind until age 9, which is around the same time she began her career as a domestic worker. As a young woman, Dorothy Bolden traveled to Chicago, where during World War II, she worked for the Sears Roebuck Company. It was while in Chicago that Dorothy discovered the benefits of unionization for labor rights. Being a lifelong domestic worker, Dorothy Bolden was proud of her profession, but was highly dismayed by the fact that domestic workers were not being acknowledged as part of the labor force. Dorothy Bolden's activism began in the 1940s as a result of her being jailed and placed under psychiatric evaluation, all because she talked back to and refused the request of a white woman. With the help of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Dorothy established working relationships with families all over the city of Atlanta, which by 1968 had her formulating a union. Under Dorothy Lee Bolden's leadership, the National Domestic Workers Union fundamentally influenced the treatment of domestic workers and was pivotal in actions that increased Atlanta's domestic workers' wages by 33%, won workers' compensation, as well as Social Security rights for all domestic workers. As a result of her efforts, President Richard M. Nixon appointed Dorothy Bolden to an advisory committee on Social Security and welfare. After her first marriage ended in divorce, Dorothy Lee Bolden married Abram Thompson, resulting in 6 children: Frank, Avon Butts, Altamise Knight, Abram, Anthony, and Dorothy Ingram. Dorothy Lee Bolden Thompson died July 14th, 2005. Dorothy Lee Bolden Thompson. They forget all about her, but we won't.
It's been Black History Facts with Brother James Broom right here on Straight Talk. Join us each and every Friday from 7 p.m. until 8 p.m. with yours truly, Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Shanan E. Jones. And do share these Black History Facts with your family and friend, and do tune in to Straight Talk. Won't you? It ain't nothing but Straight Talk. Well, we're here with the Chief of Staff, Mrs. Sierra Bickerstaff. Did I get it right, Sierra?
Good morning. You got it right. Good morning.
Now, Sierra is here with Shanan and I today, and of course, she's the Chief of Staff for Solicitor General Keith Gamage, and she is the new Kenya Johnson. You're feeling some mighty big shoes, I'm telling you.
I'm feeling some shoes. I think I was trained well, so I'm hoping to fill those shoes.
All right. We want to talk about the program that Solicitor Gamage is having. You know, he's always doing something to help people. The Restorative Justice Program, which has helped many, many people to give them a second chance. And now, can you tell us about the program that he is, your office is working on now to help people who may have tickets or misdemeanors?
Absolutely. So here in Fulton County in the Solicitor General's office, we typically take in between 20 to 30,000 traffic offenses a year. And those are throughout the county of Fulton, including cities from Alpharetta down to Palmetto, and Chattahoochee Hills. So what we do is, and those traffic offenses are typically coming from citizens who weren't able to dispose of their traffic offenses in their municipal cities, and they've asked for a jury trial. And so essentially, we're looking at creating a program, and what we have done is created a program. It's called Operation Feed Fulton. And so we are aiming to get the most minor, non-victim traffic offenses, those participants who have no prior history, no little to no prior traffic history or driving history on their record, and so meaning that they're unlikely to reoffend. It's not likely that they're the drag racing cases or participating in reckless driving behaviors. So we're talking traffic offenses where maybe you were going 10 miles to 12 miles over the speed limit on the highway. No accidents, no collisions, nothing involving the consumption of alcoholic beverages. No children were in the car. Sometimes people are cited for not coming to a complete stop at a stop sign or failure to yield when two lanes are yielding together, but it did not cause a collision. We're looking to help those persons pay a $75 contribution to the Atlanta Community Food Bank, located right here in Fulton County, right over near Camp Creek Parkway in South Fulton, where they can make a $75 contribution, and making that contribution would feed 300, it will provide 300 meals. And so we've selected almost 3,000 cases on this just initial push that fall into that criteria, that falls into that category. You will get a letter in the mail. You'll make a $75 contribution. That entire contribution goes to the Atlanta Community Food Bank to feed our needy neighbors. So some of the statistics for hunger has increased significantly during this pandemic. And so we are looking to fill the shelves at the Atlanta Food Bank so that they can fill the pantries and do as many food drives as possible. In this way, once that person who again has that very minor traffic offense makes that $75 contribution as a diversion opportunity, we will go ahead and dismiss the traffic offense or traffic case that is against them in our office. This is most importantly, to feed our hungry citizens in Fulton County, but secondly, to help allow our team and allow the solicitor's office to focus our attention on some of the most serious cases that we have, considering that we're in this pandemic and we have accrued a major backlog. There are some cases we prosecute, driving under the influence cases, where there may have been a drunk driver who caused a head-on collision, and we want to be able to focus, some of our attention to those serious cases in that nature. A lot of domestic violence cases have been on the rise during this pandemic. It allows our attorneys and our investigators and our support staff to kind of focus in on those that are considered a serious threat to our community.
Oh, thank you so very much. Isn't that exciting, Shanan? It's very exciting, isn't it? They're doing something. They're doing something to help those individuals to, and also relieve the burden of the courts too. As I know this time of the pandemic, there's a lot of people probably would have paid their ticket, but maybe didn't have a job, at this time.
Correct.
Because people are being sit out too. Can't help people being sit out.
And so essentially this program helps those that has those traffic offenses. We get a lot of inquiries where, people are seeking jobs at Amazon and UPS and Uber and Lyft, and those employers require you to have good, clean driving histories. And maybe this ticket that you have in our office or this case that you have in our office is prohibiting you from passing the clearance to become a UPS driver or an Amazon driver or Uber or Lyft driver, and so those rideshare services. So if we can do anything to restore the community and allow people to be gainfully employed at employers who are offering great rates and great pay and great benefits, we can do anything to restore that. We're happy to do it.
Ciela, this is certainly a worthy effort. How did this collaboration between the Solicitor General's office and the Atlanta Food Bank, how did this come about? And how was it that was the charity that was chosen?
Who needed us, if you will. And so we have a lot of needy participants. We have a lot of needy babies.
Can you start back just after you answer as he answered the question? I had your mic cut off, so if you would then start
Okay.
with an answer. I'm sorry.
So the question was, how do we collaborate? So absolutely. Simply put, just networking through our networks.
Go ahead. We're waiting on you to get an answer.
Okay. Do our networks, and so we essentially found a demand and we found a need and we put them together. There was a need to feed citizens in Fulton County. The hunger rate in Fulton County had reached a peak during the pandemic with all the different services going on. So we saw that need, and we saw also the need of people needing to handle their cases in court. We needed to get some resolutions. We needed to reduce the amount of cases that were coming in, and we also needed to restore our community, providing those with new job opportunities, providing them to get the relief of getting out of the courthouse. Things have been limited in the courthouse as far as technology and us trying to do trials and hearings and court appearances. And so if we could establish some type of a medium where I could make all three of these, interfaces come together and make an enterprise such as this, that was, just networking and a thinking tank. We created a room full of thinkers. We partnered with the Atlanta Community Food Bank CEO, Mr. Kyle Wade. He partnered us with his team and some of our executive team, and we thought, what was a way that we could come together, that we can feed Fulton County, and we can help those who have open cases in our courthouse and get them resolved and on with the rest of their lives.
It's $75, but once again, give me just some of what you can't have.
What you can't have. So the $75 is for participants who have been pre-chosen. We have determined and identified their cases. We have identified their cases. We have selected those. There's no collision, no incident involving drugs or alcohol. There's no, danger to children that were in the car. Definitely those who have active license. These are your minor, non-victim traffic offenses with little to no prior criminal or driving offenses. So again, your failure to come to a complete stop at a stop sign, your failure to yield but with no collision. Maybe you didn't have your license on your person that day, but you have a valid driver's license and you were cited. There's so many. Maybe you were you pulled up too far into the crosswalk. You weren't behind the yellow line, but no one was hurt. Traffic offenses such as that. That $75 contribution will make 300 meals at the Atlanta Community Food Bank, and a lot can go. 300 meals can go a long way at the Atlanta Community Food Bank once they fill up pantries and supply this food to the churches and those who are able to give food back into the community. So we're hoping that we will have a lot of participants take advantage of this opportunity, and we're definitely looking forward to it.
Pleased with what you guys are doing to help the people to get that monkey off of their back, because there's still a monkey on their back, tied up in the criminal justice system. The last thing I want to ask you before we let you go, thank you so very much for the work that you're doing in the solicitor's office. We're very proud of you to be as young as you are, to be named as the chief of staff and working as the chief of staff for the solicitor's office. So when will this program end? Is it an end date to this program?
We're actually looking for it to be an ongoing partnership. I don't think until hunger ends, if that is a better answer until we can safely say that we've made a large dent into the citizens and our neighbors that are hungry, that are suffering from some type of food malnutrition. There's a lot of underrepresented hunger stats in our community. And so this is one of those things, and me being a Fulton County resident, I was not aware of how bad the situation was until we partnered with the Atlanta Community Food Bank and they told us. And so we're thinking, like, what can we do to help this? And so as of right now, there's no end date. We will continue to identify cases that falls into the correct criteria so that they can participate in this program and we can continue to feed those who need it the most.
Well, thank you so very, very much. And again, congratulations. And we look for great things coming from you. God bless.
Thanks,
guys.
Sarah.
God bless you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Sierra, for all the work that you and the Solicitor General Keith Gamage is doing to help the people during this time of the pandemic, and also making sure that people get their house in order with those tickets. Well, let's see what's going on in Haiti.
As co-chair of the House Haiti Caucus and proud representative of the third largest representation of the Haitian diaspora in the country, we have been organizing for months to bring attention to the plight of the Haitian people and the needs of the Haitian diaspora during this tumultuous time. Proud to stand here in solidarity with the Congressional Black Caucus and other allies. The Tri-Caucus is represented here today as well, as we speak out against the cruel, the inhumane, and the flat-out racist treatment of our Haitian brothers and sisters at the southern border. We cannot and we must not look away in this moment. The nation of Haiti is in the midst of overlapping crises, the COVID-19 pandemic, a devastating earthquake that killed thousands, and political instability from the assassination of the president. It is an unprecedented humanitarian crisis, one that demands a humanitarian response. But instead of leading with compassion and grace, these families have been met with cruelty. ICE has resumed deportation flights to Haiti. Reportedly, babies under the age of 3 have been on those flights. Families fleeing a humanitarian crisis seeking a better life in the United States have been rounded up like cattle, whipped, handcuffed, and detained, sent back to a country where many families have nothing left, where the government lacks the ability and resources necessary to safely receive its citizens, where large swaths of the country are without power or clean water. This is abhorrent. We can and we must do better. The Biden administration must halt these deportation flights and allow folks to make a legal asylum claim, which, by the way, is a human right and legal. Last week, Representative Velasquez and I led more than 50 of our House colleagues in calling on DHS to immediately halt these deportations and do everything possible to support those fleeing the violence on the island. We have a moral obligation to lead with compassion, and the images we've seen of Haitians waiting in tent camps to make an asylum claim, which is a legal right, is a reminder of that. Haitian lives are Black lives. And if we truly believe that Black lives matter, then we must reverse course. The Biden administration must immediately and indefinitely halt all deportations of Haitian migrants. It must affirm and guarantee the right to due process for those seeking asylum. And it must use every resource available to support those fleeing this humanitarian crisis on the island. We are the United States of America. We have the capacity to do this right. We simply need the political will to get it done. In the meantime, Congress must do the work of investigating and ensuring accountability of the egregious and white supremacist behavior of Border Patrol agents in Del Rio, Texas. I serve on the Oversight Committee, and today my colleagues and I, we are demanding answers and an urgent briefing from CBP about the conduct of its agents on the border. And we will continue our work in the Haiti Caucus to champion aid for the region and support Haiti's full economic and political recovery, Haitian-led by civil society. So I thank you once again, Congresswoman Clark, for your steadfast leadership, for convening us all here today. And now we will hear from our partner and our leader, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas.
Thank you so very much, and thank you to Chairwoman Clark. Thank you to Chairwoman Beatty. Thank you to the voices that you have heard, because these are not new voices. These are voices that have been steadfast. Thank you to the Haiti Caucus and all of the co-chairs, and as well my Texas colleagues, Congresswoman Escobar and Congresswoman Garcia. We, as the Congressional Black Caucus, are the conscience and the defenders of black people in the United States and black people around the world. We are their strength and barrier. And so let me thank the chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus for being able to join her at a meeting at the White House where I think the ultimate decisions and representation of where we are had to be made. I do want to say that they were sensitive and responsive and listening, and we're going to continue to fight. But let me tell you why we have the credentials to be able to fight. And as I do so, let me acknowledge the busloads of migrant Haitians coming into the 18th Congressional District, happily so. People from all over the country are calling the facility to be able to be of help. Why? Because people know the dastardly plight of Haitians. Not that it is not a great heritage, a great country. They fought alongside of us in the Revolutionary War, in case any of you did not know. They have always been our allies. But they're now in a critical collapse. Assassination of their leader, the horrific earthquake, 800,000 displaced, and violence in the streets. Good people that need help. And so we must be at that point of helping. And let me say these points in terms of what we hope that we will see. First of all, the Haitians should be defined as stateless persons. Many of them have not been to Haiti in a decade. They've been in South and Central America. We thank them for that opportunity, but there's a collapse that has caused many of them to flee. In fleeing, one can question whether they can go back to those countries that are not their home countries. One has to determine whether or not you can go back to a country like Haiti that is in a collapse. And so what does this mean? It means that they can be declared stateless, and that we can provide the State Department and others to craft a more humane and responsive action for them. In addition, a relic, Title 42, exists. It is a relic of the Trump administration. It was created to be mean-spirited. It was created to give those who are riding on horses the comfort, I can do this. And who are these people? I've never seen this massive numbers of people of dark skins coming across the border in this number. Have to understand these crises meet people in their place. And so the border has been safeguarded by Border Patrol and CBP and treating people in a right way. In this instance, actions by some created the narrative that is hurting these people who are just fighting for justice. Title 42, I asked for a suspension of it. It is discretionary. It is related to the Centers for Disease Control, and it can be monitored to the extent that what my colleagues have just asked for, the ability for due process and asylum petition to go forward. Let us create a safe and legal way for families and those who are elderly and those who are frightened and afraid of violence. Let us create that way that we can handle this. I know America can do it. Don't take the narrative of those who want to demean all of us that came from somewhere else. Don't demean the value of America, which is we take the forlorn, the worn, the oppressed. The Statue of Liberty has never bent her head. She still stands. And so we as a Congressional Black Caucus and all of our allies, we're so grateful for you because this crosses racial lines. We are standing here with a rainbow of people. We will not tolerate it anymore. And we know we can work with this administration because there's a caring heart there. Let's do the right thing, and let's begin to move Haitians in a way that stateless people are treated around the world, and let us suspend the moratorium, suspend the deportation by putting a moratorium on Title 42. Congress listens to the Congressional Black Caucus. We are the conscience of the Congress for Black Americans and for those black people and others around the world.
Thank you so much, Sheila. We have been joined by another co-chair of the Caribbean Caucus. I want to ask Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett to bring her remarks at this time.
Thank you to so many of you who have gathered here, so many who are concerned about the people of Haiti, about the people of the Caribbean. Thank you to co-chairs of the Caribbean Caucus that are here with us, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson-Lee. I'm also grateful to have the Congressional Black Caucus, as well as, could turn it up a little bit. Sheila, you were kind of a little short there. As well as members of the Hispanic Caucus and other members of the Democratic Caucus who stand in solidarity with us, the Haitian Caucus members who have been formed to support the people of Haiti. As a member of Congress who represents the Virgin Islands, I'm the only member who represents the English-speaking Caribbean, it sits within the Caribbean. The plight of my Haitian brothers and sisters, not just the ones presently enduring egregious and unfair treatment at the U.S.-Mexico border, but our brothers and sisters in the nation of Haiti. It's deeply troubling to me what's happening. The crisis unfolding before our eyes at the border is woefully symbolic of our nation's consistent and superficial response to the reoccurring calamities in Haiti and the Caribbean in general. This is an inflection point in a time for us to rethink how we have our relationship with the Caribbean. The Caribbean cannot continue to be an afterthought. These were individuals, as my great colleague, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson-Lee said, not only fought with us in the American Revolution, but gained their freedom through their own violent overthrow and then had to pay for that freedom. Until the 1940s, they were paying to the tune of what is now over $2 billion to the country of France. We need to ensure that not only the United States, but France continues to be a part of what's happening there. As we watch our fellow human beings seeking a better life, we need to ask ourselves, do they not deserve dignity of listening to their story, understanding their desperation, and working to find sustainable, long-term solutions to their problems that cause tens of thousands of people to leave their country, live in poverty and hostility in South America, and make the dangerous trek to try and come to America. I believe our Haitian neighbors deserve that, and that we owe them that, in the same way that we owe those other individuals that have helped us along the way. America has significant trade agreements and economic support with its neighbors to the north and the south, Canada and Mexico. But when it comes to the Caribbean nations, they are thought of afterwards. I'm grateful that this administration has put almost $5 billion available to the people of Haiti for their rebuilding after the earthquakes, that we were the first there after the earthquakes. We were the first there to create a special envoy after the assassination, but we have got to think much more long term. We cannot just continue to think about when it's a desperate situation. We have got to rebuild that which has been taken away. And I think that America is strong enough to do that. It's a well-researched fact, additionally, that our support for them in vaccinations, support for trade, educational and alternative energy partnerships will go a long way. Infrastructure investment to stave off the influx of cheap China support that they're giving them. The Chinese, as Yvette, others will tell you, Congresswoman Clarke and others, are flooding the Caribbean with cheap and egregious usury investments in those countries. And America needs to stand firm to our neighbors to the south. That is our third border. That has been said by other presidents, and we need to make it so that it is safe for them to be home. I'm sure the Haitian people do not want to leave their home. Many of them are college graduates, many of them who have done trades. They just want a better life. They wish they could do it in their own home, but they can't. Many we know have not been home in 10 years. There are some children who have never seen Haiti in their life. We have got to be better. We know that America is better, and the Congressional Black Caucus, the members of the Hispanic Caucus, the Democratic Caucus, and the Caribbean Caucus and the Haitian Caucus are here to insist that it happen. And we are grateful that we have had the ear of this administration, that they've been willing to listen, to get our support, and be involved with the grassroots civil society in Haiti to make it so. At this time, I want to bring to the mic Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence, who is an officer, the second vice chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. And I want to thank you all for being here in this inclement weather we're experiencing right now.
Well, thanks.
That was a good one.
Well, a great one.
That was a good one today.
It was a good one.
That was a good one, man. I'm telling you.
This
James Broom always brings it.
He always brings it. This man has more Black history facts.
Yeah.
And than any person that I've met, he is really historian when it comes to Black history.
Enlightening.
And you know what? I'm gonna tell you somebody else who talks about Atlanta. I know Hal does a great job too.
Yeah.
But Skip Mason.
Oh yeah.
The history of Atlanta.
Skip's got it, man.
Yeah,
he's got it. He's got it. In fact, are
got
you a part of that Facebook?
Yes,
old
I am.
Atlanta? I'd love to just go back down memory lane.
Memory
lane.
Yes, sir. But anyway, what we're going to do here is we're going to just now thank him. Then we're going to talk about the young lady, Mrs. Bickerstaff. I'm going to say Miss Bickerstaff because I don't know if she's married or not. But,
Or Chief of Staff.
She's Chief of Staff. Ms. Bickerstaff, who with Mr. Gammage's office, and what she was talking about in reference to the program that is
man, that's a phenomenal program.
They feed the hungry and help folks to lift that burden of being looked for because they didn't show up for court.
Yeah.
And perhaps, as I said earlier when we were talking earlier, perhaps these people didn't have a job, no money, had no way to pay a ticket. Probably don't even have a car anymore. The car that they got the ticket may have been repossessed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it shows the intersectionality of society. Here, you've got a problem. You need that dealt with. You go pay the $75, but then that $75 helps those who are food sensitive, who need food in their home. So it just shows the connection of everything, the work of social justice and social equity.
Well, we can only thank Solicitor Keith Gammage for the work that he is doing. Thank you so very much.
Awesome.
He's committed to what he said he was going to do when he ran the first time. Yeah, he's kept his word, and he's a man of faith. He's a believer in the Word of God,
and a family man.
That. And a family man, truly a family man.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We love Brother Keith.
Yeah,
Thank you, man.
And Keith, if we had more politicians like Keith that was actually doing something and stop making excuses.
You know what? That's the issue. The politicians. If we had more public servants, like Keith Gammage.
Right. Well,
because we got a lot of politicians.
Well, we need more people that's God fearing.
I know
like
what you mean.
Keith Gammage.
Yeah,
he is God fearing.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of them say they're Christians and they're God fearing, but they don't show it to me.
They pastors probably ain't seen them in 4 years either.
Probably ain't seen them until it's time for them to run again. You know how that go, don't you?
Yeah, Doc, I know. Lord, I know.
Ooh,
some folk I know. You go to this church? I didn't even know. I pastored.
I'm a member. I'm a member of Bishop Fann's church. Yeah, okay. You're a member, all right. Yeah, I don't remember the last time I seen you. I remember the last time.
I'm a remember. Remember me?
Yeah, okay. But anyway, let's talk about this thing with this congresswoman, the congresswomen talking about what's going on.
Congressional Black Caucus, man, yeah. This Biden administration has to really decide whether or not Black lives matter or not, because the reality of it is that it just doesn't look that way. When you have the Vice President of the United States coming out to make statements about this administration, this is your administration, and we're still dealing with a Trump policy. So you're going to have to come and you need to deal with this Trump policy, get off of that policy. And, but Donald Trump didn't put them on planes and send them back to Haiti, which is crumbling physically and politically.
Definitely.
These people are seeking asylum. These people, not animals. And I love animals.
Right.
I wouldn't do to an animal what I saw the Border Patrol on horseback doing to Haitian migrants. And I just have to wonder, I was very troubled by the Biden administration over this. I was very troubled by this because heads were supposed to roll. But before they started showing the optics of the horsewhipping, they were still deporting them without processing them and hearing their cry. These people came from Haiti, through Mexico, across the Rio Grande, into Texas. Man, and you put them on a plane and throw them right back in the fire that they came from. That's a Nebuchadnezzar move.
Well, I tell you, Shannon, I am really, really hurt by what I've seen. And then, and I heard one of the congresswomen say that, one of the congressmen said that the vice president, President Harris, was charged with the responsibility to deal with the problem at the borders. But she hasn't been seen at the border. The president hasn't been seen at the border. Nobody has been down there to see how these people are living and what these people are going through. And some of the interviews you heard from people that went to Mexico, how they were taking their money. They worked, to have money, and then this money is being taken from them, from crooks, from thieves, from robbers. But I understand that sort of the dilemma that they're in because, one, if you really think about it, you don't know the cartel is sending drugs over here or what they're doing and how that is playing out either. You just don't know.
Well, let me say this to that. You know that that those Haitian migrants walking over here with their underwear on, boxer shorts, with a plastic bag of everything that they own. You know that they're not mules coming through with tens of thousands of bricks of cocaine. I mean, you're sitting here looking at these people. They're not coming through with luggage and whatnot. They're coming through with nothing in their hands.
Shannon, listen, let's come back to that in just a minute.
Weekend images were published on Border Patrol on horseback approaching Haitian migrants as they crossed onto the U.S. side of the river in Del Rio. The White House called the images horrific, adding more information was needed about the situation. Border Patrol Chief Raul Ortiz told reporters today that agents routinely use horses to patrol the river and encourage migrants to return to Mexico. He said the agency will look into what happened.
Focusing on Black immigrants because their stories are unheard, their narratives are forgotten, and their realities erased.
Gerlin Joseph, founder and executive director of the Haitian Bridge Alliance, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Well, Shannon, I tell you, man, I had to take a break. I really did, doing that part in terms of talking about it. Because when you look at the inhumane things, and I brought back up another clip of, all of these thousands of people under the bridge, man. I showing pictures of people walking across the water, as you were saying, in their underwear and,
with
carrying babies.
Nothing.
And,
right.
It's just,
right.
It's hurtful.
And do you know what I mean, we just sat here and said how sad it was to see Queen Mother Juanita Love go back to North Carolina.
Right.
Do you know what it must be to walk away from your country? To walk away not just from your city or your county, not just from your state, right? They're walking away from their country. Their president has been killed. Their infrastructure is destroyed. Another storm has hit them. Earthquake has hit them. I mean, the buildings are crumbling. Crime is running amok. It is extremely dangerous. and they walk away with nothing but their faith in God to come to a place that has a statue sitting in Ellis Island that says, give me your tired, your poor, your hurt masses yearning to breathe free. And that's all they're trying to do. But they're doing it in black skin, and apparently that's a crime. Apparently that's a threat to national security. Put Border Patrol, federal Border Patrol officers on horseback with complete cowboy apparel on, and have them to horse whip the people.
Well, you know, the one from PBS, what the young lady's talking about, all the things that's really going on over there, that clip, it shows where not only were there Haitians, but there were other people who have dark skin who were from other countries that were part of that coming here seeking asylum. Because America is, as you said, is a country that prides itself on being a democracy, being a place where you can come and you can be successful and change your life and not be a political prisoner, because you do not go along with any party or any politics, but you can be an independent thinker. And so in most countries that these people are trying to come from, it doesn't work like that. You know, it doesn't work like that. So
and the ambassador quit. The envoy, the United States envoy to Haiti, quit in protest over the handling of this. That's something that and then the State Department came back and said, oh, he's mischaracterizing why he quit. I would quit too if I had been telling you what was going on in Haiti and you're not listening to me, and then something like this happens. And what do? You take them, scoop them up, and bring them right back to Haiti.
Once they came.
Throw them right back in. When the ambassador is saying, he's saying repeatedly, he's been asking the administration, the Biden administration. This is Joe Biden's special envoy, ambassador to Haiti, saying we've got a crisis here. And it's not being ignored. There's a problem with that. And I'm not into any identity politics. I don't like this like I don't like what 45 did. And I feel the same way about this as when 45 called it an S-hole nation. I feel the same way about it.
Well, I think many of us do. You know, one of the things, and I'm going to end this, I'm not a party person. I'm for what's right. And when we talk about it, when I look at party, I look at billionaire, millionaire, and billionaires and millionaires who have gotten rich or being elected in politics. But the people are the one that's left out. The people are the one that's hurt. The people that fraying the cost are the ones that's left out and hurt. And there's no one that calls themselves a believer. I mean, say Christian. I say believer that can go along with what they've seen, whether you're a Caucasian or whether you're black, to go along with the inhumane things that we're seeing and you've seen today on Straight Talk and have seen on TV. There's no way that you can go along with that and feel good about that, because that could be your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your niece, your nephew. Because you have to realize that many of our kids now live in third world countries. They don't live in the United States of America. They live in other countries. They move to other countries to live. So those will be your grandkids. Your grandkids. So let's look at it for what it is. Let's be prayerful. And ask God to touch this country that's called the United States of America, to live out to what it has said it's supposed to be about. And those that are in leadership, to lean not on their understanding, their own understanding, but acknowledge God in all their ways, that he might direct their path. Because only God and only God can straighten out what we see that's happening today. as we get ready to close out, Shannon's going to tell you about Clergy with a Candle, and Bishop Canyon's going to come and invite you to come and be a part.
We're looking for as many clergy who are willing to join us on October the 7th as we come together. And I'm going to let Bishop Canyon do his specific pitch, and he's going to tell you about what's happening there at his church site in his community. But we are joining with him and several others, and we're calling on clergy to come and be a light to light the darkness. Folks have been asking. They said, are you calling on the whole church to come? If the whole church comes, it comes. But this is a move of clergy. It's time for the vanguard to come together and step out. So we're calling on all clergy to meet us on October the 7th. Bishop Canyon will give you all the information. We want you to be there at 6 o'clock as we come together to have a prayer walk and to begin to light the darkness. Pray with people that are there in that community as we move around. We want to be a presence of light in a time of darkness, and we're going to take this prayer walk, this Clergy with a Candle prayer walk is going to walk through every county in the metro area, and we want you to be a part of it.
We don't want to make this a media event. We want to make this a God event, because we're coming to tear Satan's kingdom down against gun violence.
God bless you. This is Bishop Canyon. I'm extending an invitation to you to join us October the 7th at 6 o'clock. Clergy with the Candles. We're going to be praying and marching. Listen, I want you to come. At 6 o'clock, I want you to meet me at my church, the Assembly of Truth, 350 Hills Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia, Southwest. We're going to be praying. We're going to be seeking God. We're going to be making our presence felt. October the 7th at 6 o'clock. I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
Thank you, Bishop Canyon. Join us as we march around the city praying against violence. So with gun violence, we need you clergymen to come and join us on October the 7th from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. Come and be a part of a prayer vigil and a prayer walk. We'll start at 350 Hills Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia, 30313 at the Assembly of Truth Church, where Bishop Canyon is the pastor. You don't want to miss it. Be a part of praying the walls of Satan down. And for more information, you can call 44756-7546. That's 44756-7546. Well, thank you so much for watching Straight Talk today with yours truly, Greg Fann, the preacher man, and the middle-aged man,
Shannon E. Jones.
Shannon E. Jones.
It's a good show today, Bishop.
Huh?
Good show today.
Oh, well, you know, it's, I put it like this, Shannon. You know, when you love God and you love God's people, and you try to bring and you do your best to inform, because it's people perish for a lack of what?
Knowledge. Yeah.
So what we try to do in this program, we try to share. Well, we don't try to share. We share knowledge.
Yeah.
And we ask you to pass it on and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. Become a regular watcher. And do what? Share it with your YouTube friends and family. Well, as always, you know, I just love you. We love you. God loves you. And we thank you for just being a part of Straight Talk. And until next week, you stay tuned to what? Straight Talk.
Want to be a guest on Straight Talk? Email Craig Fann at FANN922@Comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode of Straight Talk with Shannon Jones and Greg Fann, the Preacher Man.